Thank you. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your conference. I really appreciate it. It's amazing how the world has changed. Here I am speaking in Moscow, and this afternoon I'm training and coaching some people in California. And I'm doing this all the way from sitting at home in London. So by the power of technology. So what I'm going to do to talk to you today is about our view of social selling, social media, and some of the things that have changed in the marketplace. But I also want to make sure that you're understanding what social selling and what our view is. So so this is me. I've written 2 books. The first book, Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Change Makers, is sold something like 6,000 copies. For a best-selling book in business, it's usually about 2,000, but that's sold about 6,000. I've also written a book called Smarketing, which talks about the merger of sales and marketing that we're seeing in the current changes that are taking place in the world today. They're both available on any good bookstore or Amazon if you want to buy a copy. So we're seeing a lot of this at the moment. I run a business which is global, and everywhere we go, whether it's India, the UK, the Middle East, what we're hearing is that sales and marketing isn't working anymore. So what's happened is that people have, because of the COVID, people have maybe changed their business strategy. They may have let some people go. They may have taken on some people. They may have reduce some product lines, they may have enhanced their product lines, but the problem is that they're still selling and marketing the way they did before the pandemic. And most of the way that they're selling and marketing is using old style methods. So if you take something like cold calling, cold calling is now 30, 40 years old. Email marketing is from the 1990s, so that's something like 30 years old. Now, we don't generally use 30, 40-year-old technology elsewhere in our lives. I mean, I don't have a Sony Walkman. I don't use a fax. There's lots of pieces of technology that have come and gone. And so should email marketing and cold calling, because they're not fit for the modern buyer, because the modern buyer has changed. And we need to change to our sales and marketing to fit that change in buyer. So to give you some idea about social, what is social? Well, social is actually a strategy. So this is one of our clients, Telstra, and the way that they see social is transforming the whole of the business. So us as a company, we don't just do social selling, we do social procurement, social human resources. We actually can transform an organization right across the piece. And so the client sees social and the social organization as a platform for closing the distance between clients, prospects, remote employees, and potential recruits. And one of the things that I'm going to show you today is how in the current state of using sales and marketing, email marketing, cold calling, or using social as a platform to actually cold call people, what you do is you actually push the client away. And what we do with our methodology is that we actually get clients to actually walk towards us. And that is transformational. There's an old joke that goes, how do you tell a salesperson is lying? His or her lips are moving. And that's the same often for salespeople. We don't believe them. We don't believe a word they say. And most people actually go to market by saying exactly the same thing, which is buy my product because we're great. So the modern buyer actually has great difficulty understanding the difference between different platforms. And then ultimately what happens if they can't understand the difference, it comes down to price. So I'm going to show you a way of actually making sure that you're different from everybody else, but also getting people to walk towards you. Now, wouldn't it be brilliant to actually, rather having to go out and find opportunities, for those opportunities to actually come to you? So one of the things that we do is that we see social selling as a way of doing business online. But what does that mean? So there's lots of terminology out there: social selling, digital selling, virtual selling, remote selling, even modern selling. And we see them as all being the same thing, which is using your presence and behavior on social media to build influence. to make connections, grow relationships and trust, which lead to conversations and commercial interaction. That's really important. So what we're doing is that we're using our position on social media to, in effect, to have conversations with people. That's not going to people and pitching to them, that's having conversations with them. So if you come to me and pitch to me, I block you. It's as straightforward as that. So what you'll find is if you're doing that, you will find, yes, you may find one or two people that will talk to you, but you will soon burn through your network, and you will soon find that that actually comes to a point where maybe even LinkedIn blocks you, or there's just nobody else to talk to. What we do is that we actually have people to have conversations, because social is just like a networking event. You go to somebody, you go and have a conversation. If you're at a networking event and someone says, hey, this is my brochure and this is what I do, what you would do is actually walk away from that person. You'll probably call security. And that's why what people find when they start doing that on social, they don't get very far. So most people say, well, I'm doing social already, Tim. And most people probably are. You're probably spamming out some messages. You're probably spamming people with emails. We don't use emails at all. None of our strategy uses email at all. Quite often what you'll find is that there's somebody in marketing and they put out something on social, and then everybody is emailed and they say, can you like that for us? And what you'll find is that it's probably generating absolutely zero revenue and profit for you. And the reason for that is that you all have too smaller networks. Most people's networks are only made up of ex-colleagues and recruitment consultants. And what you're doing is that you're talking in an echo chamber. And what we do is that we actually get organizations to actually understand that social is a strategy. It's not about posting pictures of your lunch and posting cat photos, though you could do that if that generates revenue and profit for you. But what we do is that we connect social media to profit and revenue. Every single keystroke that you should be making on your computer, you should know that that is contributing to revenue and profit, or EBITDA, if you want to use that term. So as a leader in your business, you should actually be knowing that people are not playing on Facebook. What they're doing is that they're actually contributing. Now, the key thing is that at a board level, you're actually reporting how much business that you are generating from social. Every modern business today is telling its board how much business that they're generating from social. Whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, you can measure it and you should be measuring it. And that should actually be requested by the CEO and board of the sales and marketing function. Now, social isn't just about social selling. It's far wider than this. So these were the 5 measures that Telstra had from their social transformational project. They wanted visibility and recognition in the marketplace. Classic brand recognition that marketing generated. They wanted achieve trusted advisor status to their clients and prospects. So they want to actually be invited in to clients to help them. I know an organization at the moment that they're a cloud organization, and they have an expectation that because people are moving to cloud, that they will actually be invited in to the top table, as we would say, and they would but they would be, the supplier then is advising the client. So opposite way around to quite often what happens. Of course, with social, what we're looking for is more pipeline, revenue, and new logos. But also, social actually provides us access to the best talent and skills, and we can actually become the employer of choice in our chosen markets using social. Because what we do is that we actually talk to the world about how great we are. So I was talking to a very large US software company, I think it was yesterday, and they said, so there's this thing called the big resignation, where the view is that what happens is that everybody's going to resign because actually we prefer working from home. We went out and bought dogs during the lockdown, and we have to walk the dogs, but we don't want to go into the office. And what this person was saying is that actually they're a very, they have a number of things. They're a very diverse employer. They employ people from lots of different backgrounds. They have an unlimited training budget, so you can be a lifelong learner there. They allow people to work from home, and they allow flexibility. They're a big supporter of diversity and inclusion. Now, if I rattled off all those things, you'd say, I actually quite fancy working there. But what they've done is that they've not told anybody. So they actually have a real problem in actually retaining staff and actually finding staff, because people go, well, I don't want to work there. Well, because it seems old-fashioned as an organization. The other thing about social is that it provides employee engagement and a shared sense of purpose. So this is about using social media internally. And we're all in a situation, well, we're in a situation here in the UK where many of us have been working from home. And what social allows us to do is to work in a far more efficient way than the old ways of actually using things like email. So I was watching a presentation on Sky News today from the CRO of Salesforce, who just recently bought Slack, and they actually see that their salespeople can actually close deals 15% faster by using Slack. And one of the things that we do in our training and coaching is explain to you how you can use things like Slack to create a content factory, and to use Slack to do things like increase the accuracy of your sales forecast, etc. So that's some of the headline things. So let's look at social. And this is research from Simon Kemp. If you don't know him, look him up on LinkedIn. That's Simon Kemp, K-E-M-P. He produces this. We are social and Hootsuite pay for it, but Simon creates it. This was accurate as of July. So pretty accurate. And there are now 56 or 57% of the world's population on social media. And what that means is, from a B2B enterprise perspective, all of our clients are on social media. And if maybe the CFO or the CEO isn't, all of the team that is advising that CFO or that CEO is. And so what we realize is that our clients are on social media, so we need to be there as sales and marketers as well. There's also this from Gartner that shows that people are now 57% of the way through the buying process. It could be 30%, it could be, I've seen reports from SAP saying it's 80%. I don't know about you, but whenever I buy anything, the first thing I do is I go online and I start searching on my mobile. And I think all customers are going to do that. And if you're going to invest seriously in, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of computer equipment or whatever it is that you're going to buy, you will have actually gone online and found all the information you need. Certainly, whether you're starting off building your shortlist or whether you're going for to present to the board when you've got your final recommendations, you're going to be online, you're going to be looking for insight, you're going to be looking to be educated. And you know what? If you're not there, you're invisible. So if you're not on social, you are leaving money on the table. It's a matter of fact. So also Gartner say that there's now 6.8 people are involved in the buying process. So when I first started selling, there was probably one person. You probably sold to somebody in IT. Now there's 6.8. Actually, Gartner now say it's up to something like 10. We're currently working with a software supply chain software company, and they tell me that in their buying process, usually about 100. So how do you scale and actually talk to 100 people? So if you think about how people make decisions, there will be a meeting where everybody gets together and they say, right, there's two recommendations. Are we going to go for product A or are we going to go for product B? And as a salesperson, what you will need to have done is got around all 100 people and actually had a conversation with them, built a relationship with them. And what you will need to have done is make sure that when everybody votes, they vote for your solution. Now, if you actually start that relationship by pissing people off, by cold calling them, or pissing people off by sending them emails, that's not a great way to start a relationship. Now, for me, I don't take cold calls. And whenever I get a spammy email, I always create a rule that immediately all the spammy emails will immediately go to my junk box from forevermore. And so what we have is that we have buyers that understand that and are doing similar sort of behaviors. So where should actually we be, what should we be doing? We should be going and having conversations with our clients where they want to be, which is on social media. Oh, and then this happened. So we got hit by the COVID situation, the pandemic. And I don't know about you, but certainly in the UK, certainly in the US, I'm not seeing a lot of conferences or exhibitions. I've actually been invited for my first face-to-face presentation, which will be the first one for 18 months in November. But the classic ways of running events and conferences just aren't going to happen. And the thing is that we know that the pendulum will swing back, but how far will it actually swing back? I know a lot of people that just see conferences and events as super spreader events. Why would I go there? Well, I'm just going to end up catching COVID. How do I get hold of my customer? How do I talk to them when they're actually sitting remotely and they're not even necessarily sitting in the office? And certainly we're going to see more of that because, you know, people aren't going to go back. Not everybody is going to go back to the office. There will be an element of hybrid working. So that's our view of social and how it fits. It's a view of the research that's out there. But what I want you to do is imagine for a second. So you've got to get to the airport really quickly, and you've got the choice of two cars. Do you choose car number 1 or car number 2? Everybody says they realize it's a trick question. They usually say it's car number 2 because it's a trick question, but I would pick car number 1. The thing about car number 1 is a prototype. It doesn't have an engine. And what we do as individuals is that we take a little bit of information and we extrapolate it out. And what we do is that we all jump to conclusions. And what's happening is that people are right now jumping to a conclusion based on your passive social presence, so what your LinkedIn profile looks like, and your active social behaviors, so what you're posting or what you're not posting. Because if you're not posting anything, you're invisible. So the way that you go about and the behaviors that you go about on social media is important. And the way that you, what you post is important as well, because people will see you for the person that you are. So here's 2 different profiles. The one on the left doesn't really tell you much, has no picture, doesn't tell you about the person, whereas the one on the right-hand side, it's a keyword optimized LinkedIn profile. Now, Google loves LinkedIn, and it loves LinkedIn because it's full of content. And the way that Google sees a LinkedIn profile is basically a string of text. So where your clients are going to Google and asking the questions which are creating hopefully the searches that are going to generate you as being the natural answer, the more people that you can get online having a keyword optimized LinkedIn profile, the better. So if you've got 2,000 people across your organization, that's 2,000 pages of keyword optimized text that you could have available on LinkedIn. Think of the power of that when you're actually searching. But what you'll find is that what people do is that they write things that actually make people walk away. So what we do as part of our social selling and influence training and coaching is that we teach people to create a profile like Adrian's here, where people will actually walk towards you. This is transformation. So a lot of people look at this profile and they say, Adrian seems like a really good guy. Do you know, I'd like to go for a beer with him. I'm actually going to send him a connection request right now. Now, Adrian will try and sell you some cyber software because that's what they do. But the thing is that we've actually got people to walk towards the profile and saying, can you actually help me? So one of my clients, which is an Oracle reseller, they've actually just closed a $2 million deal because the person saw them out on social and said, you look like you can help me. Can you do that? And that actually transformed into a $2 million deal. And that's what's transforming social. So let's look at some things around simple psychology. So there's a piece of psychology called Gestalt thinking. And what we do is that we take images and we form patterns. So the blue circle, what happens is that we create a square out of that. But if we actually present ourselves differently within actually online, what happens is that people see something very, very different. What that does is that changes our win rate from 1 in 16 to 1 in 2. Now, one of the things that we work with our clients is that we teach them digital dominance. So this is about how you can dominate the space within digital and completely push out the competition. So we have a client, Cyberhawk, which is a drones company, and they have completely pushed out all of the other drone companies and completely pushed them to the side. They've tripled the number of SQLs they've got. They're now in a situation where they're having to recruit salespeople like Billio because they're actually trying to close the deal and grow the business at the same time. And this is what you can do with some very, very simple steps. But this is what we do when we talk about digital dominance. So most people on social media, what they do is that they position themselves exactly the same as everybody else. So, for example, there are 8,552,000 sales directors, 9,724,000 marketing directors. Now, when I first went into sales, I had a number of sales mentors, and one of them said to me, what you need to do is you need to be different. You need to differentiate yourself. And here we have 8 million and 9 million marketing directors who seem to have forgotten what sales and marketing is about. What they're doing is that they're actually positioning themselves exactly the same as everybody else. So what we have is a complete sea of sameness. Everybody is exactly the same. Everybody is saying exactly the same thing, which is buy my product because it's great. And what happens is that nobody is interested. Nobody is interested in your product. Nobody is interested in your company. But there's this old saying, people buy people. And I'm interested in you as a person. And your customers and prospects will be interested in you as a person, not about who you work for and what you sell. So this is Adrian again. What he's done, he's completely changed his LinkedIn profile. Starts with his first job, packing shelves. It's not a CV, it's not a list of my objectives. It tells a story. And what we do is in our social selling and influence courses is we teach you storytelling, so you can actually create a story. And what happens is that people land on your profile and go, God, that looks interesting. Now, remember, in the digital world, your competition is only one click away. Now, someone will go online and say, right, I'm going to come up with a short list of 3 for whatever it is that your products and service is. And I've got 30 minutes in which to come up with that short list of 3. If you can suck that person's time and get that person to read your profile for 30 minutes, you're going to be in a situation where they say, do you know, you are the only answer to our problem. And we are in situations ourselves where we don't have any competition. And the reason for that is people come to us, they see what we're doing, we see that we're the high watermark of social and social selling, and they go, you are the only people that could actually help us. And this could happen for you. And this is one of the things that we teach within our social selling and influence course. Now, what I've told you about social there and LinkedIn, that's the starting line. That's table stakes today. You know, we have digital buyers. The digital buying process, I think it's 100% online. Gartner say it's 80%. I know lots of senior leaders that say, you know, it's kind of it's between 80 and 100%. The buying process is online. The selling process has to be online as well. And this is what salespeople and marketers have to do if you're going to basically work in the digital world today. So let's look at how things have changed. So traditional marketing is based on waste. It's based on the fact that what you're going to do is generate content that will be as bland as possible because it needs to appeal to as many people as you can. And gradually what you do is you take them through a traditional sales funnel. What we're doing is that we're setting people up as micro-influencers. Each salesperson becomes a master of their own digital territory. And what they do is that they build this territory as wide as and as deep and as they can get it. And what they'll have is that different people in that. But what will take place is that the influence will go through the network, through your network and your network's network. And what will happen is that people will pick it up and take that and distribute it. So they're distributing your influence. So what you're, in effect, what you're selling to a wider audience than you actually have already. That's very, very powerful. So let's look more in terms of network marketing and selling. So network, everybody has a network. Most people's network on LinkedIn is 930 contacts. As I said before, most of it is ex-colleagues and recruitment consultants. And actually, I wouldn't say it's useless, but it's not buying you anything. So let's look at this. So this is Eric. Eric works for me. He's going to be my muse today. From NCR perspective, he has no contacts in NCR. So the likelihood of him selling into NCR is pretty much zero. Where he has 552 connections in Wood Group, it's a local company to him in Aberdeen, but the likelihood of him selling into Wood Group is so much bigger. And sales leaders, when you're running QBRs, quarterly business reviews, when you're running account reviews, the question you need to be asking your salespeople is, how many people are you connected to in those particular accounts? Because if they're not connected to people, they're not having conversations, they don't have relationships, they will not be selling in those accounts. It's critical that you answer those questions today. So let's look at marketing. We love Sydney, but she doesn't have a very big network. We love Leanne as well, but she has a bigger network of 9,000 people. It's a very, very similar post, but what you'll see is that Leanne has 168 likes and 89 comments. Now, a lot of people call that likes and comments vanity. If people are saying that to you, they don't understand social media. Likes and comments for sales and marketers are gold, and I'm going to show you why that's the case in a moment. Poor old Sydney has not got any engagement at all, but this is the importance of you building a network, not going to people and saying buy my product because it's great, going to the people and striking up a conversation with them. You don't know that the person you're contacting is actually going to buy from you, or whether they may be able to refer from you, or they may actually become a amplifier of your content. Either way, what you shouldn't be doing is pitching to them and pissing them off. What you should be doing is building a relationship with them and having a conversation. So what do I mean by spreading our influence? Each of these pieces of content here is not part of my network. What happens is that when you scroll through LinkedIn, LinkedIn's trying to get you to connect to lots of people. So what happens is that as you go through LinkedIn, it will show you content that your network has liked or commented on. All of these pieces of content is content that my network has liked or commented on. This is how you can spread your influence through the social network, through the engagement, and getting your network to do some of the spreading for you. So the final thing I wanted to go through is to look at content. So we did some research about content and what content works, what content doesn't work. Now, you can do this yourself. You just go on LinkedIn and you look at how many likes a post has got, and then you go in, you look at the type of likes they've got. For example, I know somebody who gets 80 likes, but all the 80 likes are their direct reports. So what happens is that the person that I'm talking about, thinks that she's social selling, but she's not. What she's doing is posting on social media and hoping that something will happen. We all know that hope isn't a strategy. So what we know is that if you look at an advert, there are very few likes on an advert. Therefore, we know that people don't like adverts. But as we go up through the pyramid, what we find is that the type of content that works the best is humanized content. So let's go through this. So Eric, who works for me, covers energy. This is at his previous job where he was doing his corporate thing and resharing their post. Of course, it's got 2 likes. And I happen to know the like is the CRO of the company and the marketing person. Nobody's particularly interested. And nobody is interested in brochures and brochureware. All the research shows that people come to social media to be social, not to read brochures, regardless of what you think about LinkedIn being a business platform. This is Eric here. He's asking a question. This is changing again. This is authorship. This is actually increased the number of likes and comments he's got and the number of views. And there's this post here that he put out last year. So this has got 165 likes, 37 comments, and this is humanized content. And we've all seen content like this on social media. Now, what does it mean? So this is his son. This is Austin. Austin was 16. He had a COVID birthday like a lot of people. He wanted to be out drinking with his mates, but he had to go to the beach with his boring dad. But what does this mean? You know, because people post and walk away. What is the connection, as I said right up, between posting on social media, profit, revenue, and EBITDA? Well, I'll show you. Off this post, Eric got 124 leads. He got 6 video calls with C-level video calls. He got 2 proposals and 1 purchase order. And it took him 10 minutes to create. Now, there is not one single demand generation facility out there, cold calling, advertising, email marketing, that will get you 6 C-level meetings from 10 minutes work. It's as simple as that. Now, what I'm not saying is that you all go away and start putting pictures of you and your son on the beach. What you need to do is you need to put, have a collection of content. If I come to your LinkedIn profile, I need to know what you stand for. If you come to my LinkedIn profile, and I welcome you to come to my LinkedIn profile, you can see what I stand for. You can see that I stand for social selling. I can see that I stand for social transformation. You would also see that I post humanized content. You can start seeing that I'm a human being. Now, some people say, yes, but LinkedIn isn't Facebook. That may be the case, but the research shows that people come to social media to be social. And what I say to you, in the analog world, what's the best way to get a deal? Well, I take them out for beers. I take them to a restaurant. I take them to a football game. Yes. And what do you do? Well, I get to know them better. Yes. And what we're doing here is that we're getting to your prospects and customers get to know you better and get to see you as a human being. So we teach you if there's a question, how do I get all of the leads that the answer is, we teach you as part of our social selling and influence training course. So here's some of the people that we've worked with. Everybody has a logo slide, but that's ours. Just to walk through, there's 2 things we're talking about selling today. So there's 2 things. One is about building your business a strategy. How can you get the C-level people involved in looking at social as a strategy? We run a strategy session to get them to come up with the reasons why we should do that. This is not about teaching the C-suite how to use Twitter. This is about explaining to the C-suite about how you need to use social as a strategy and the importance and the business imperative for that today. We also have on the blue piece that our social and selling influence course, which is now world beating in terms of what we do is we teach people how to build a personal brand. We grow your network, how to be found, building influence, creating content. And we use the 70-20-10 change management process, because what happens usually, or when I first started doing this, when I worked at my previous company before I set up by myself, you would teach people how to do something and immediately you went away, they would go back to doing what they did before. The 70-20-10 change management process builds in the habit change and the mindset change, which is required for people to start moving towards social media. I was asked to come up with some differences between sales in the past and sales modern selling, and I came up and I brainstormed these. So, most people probably that are listening to this probably still see LinkedIn as a CV. You probably don't have any details about it. It doesn't tell me anything. You need to be building a digital identity. Digital identity is not what you do, it's who you are. What is it that you want to be known for? In the past, being able to be really good using a telephone, now you need to be able to have conversations on social media. You now need to have moved your territory. You need to have a digital territory. What we're looking for on social media is not people that are robots and people that are putting out crappy content and brochures. What we're looking for is people that are going to be human. Who is it that's going to solve my business problems? You ain't going to solve a business problem by a brochure. You need to be able to create content. You need to be able to use video. You need to be able to story tell. The great thing about digital is that you have a very clear way of measuring. The importance is that you have a strategy. Now, people used to ask me, how long should I spend on social? They don't generally ask me that anymore, because that's where your clients are. You know, if I could drive you to a building where all your clients were standing and all you had to go and do was go up and have a conversation with them, you would get in the car with me and we would drive down there and you'd spend all day or night there. And exactly the same with social. You need to be spending your time. Throw away the battle cards. We need business conversations. We're looking for building long-term relationships. What you'll find is that now what you're able to do with your outbound and prospecting is far more efficient and effective than cold calling. You're able to go higher. The conversations that you have higher, more of them will convert. And I've got research that shows all of this. You need to be seen by your client as a business partner. If you treat people like transactions, they'll treat you like transactions back. You need, throw away the manipulation. You need business acumen. You need subject matter experts, and you need to understand that posting brochures doesn't work, but you can create digital dominance. So that was my last slide. It was a big whiz through. And what I would say to you in all of this, I've told you a whole load of stuff about social, but I can guarantee you that you won't go away and do anything. People can sit there and they can do lots and lots of PowerPoint slides, but the big difference is that knowing and doing are two different things. And social is not what you know. You can sit in as many hints and tips sessions as you want, but you'll be wasting your money. What you need is something that's actually going to create action within your organization. So it's not what you do. It's not what you know, it's what you do. So that's me. Is there any questions? All 59 of them. I like the awesome Tim one. That's a really good one.
Tim, thank you so much for your presentation. It was wonderful, very interesting and valuable. Thank you for that. You want to say something? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to start going through the questions.
Okay, yes, we had an active discussion during your speech in the comments. Yeah, a lot of people, they just said that this is amazing, this is wonderful, very useful, and asked some questions and then answered to each other. So we have kind of ongoing conversation. And I would like to summarize a bit the discussion which was during your speech. It was mostly about humanization, and many people said that okay, you need to humanize your profile, your social media presence. This is important, obviously, and many people, for example, one of our participants got many views of the posts about his autistic son achieved his diploma. So this is what was in the comments. And the question is, what are boundaries here? We mean maybe how open you should be, because for some people this is completely comfortable to be open on social media, to share their values, their personal photos and their personal news, but for some of people this is quite difficult. What do you think about it?
I agree. I think that what happens is that we've all got very comfortable and very comfortable basically sitting at our desks spamming people, and the fact is that what we have to do is now walk away and walk from our desks and actually have conversations with people. What we usually find is that people who say they have difficulty creating relationships online actually have difficulty creating relationships in real life. So it's actually not a problem of the social media platform. It's actually a problem of the person. The fact of the matter is that we know none of us like being spammed. None of us like having pictures sent to us. What we want is to have an environment on social where we have conversations with people. Now, some of those people may help us, some of them may not. I'm not saying that everybody has to post pictures about their personal life all the time, but you will find that you get more engagement. The more engagement you get, the more opportunity that you have something in common with somebody. When you have something in common with somebody, you have an opportunity to go and have a conversation with that person. I saw the comment there about the autistic son. I have a person who works for me who has he's a special needs parent. By far the biggest response he got was the fact that he was really sad because his special needs child was 18. And, you know, when, as a parent, when your boy is 18, you expect them to be a man, you expect them to do all the things that you would expect a man to do. Whether that's good or bad. But they actually had to go to the court and have all his rights taken away because he is very autistic. And that by far has got him the most engagement, but it's also got him having conversations with people across the world who said, yeah, my son's autistic, or my daughter's autistic, or my son's blind, or whatever. And you know, we have to face different things. Now, yes, I can imagine that got him 300 views. One of my person's dog died, and that got him the most views. And I'm not saying that we should be using these things for manipulating it for business, but what happens is that more people will recognize you and see you, and that's what you want to have on social media.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much. And we have some other questions about the term, social selling term. This is a question from Social Selling Warrior.
Yes,
yeah.
I think the social selling term is misunderstood. Most people think that social selling means selling on social, and it doesn't. You got my definition at the beginning of this presentation. Yes, I think it's misunderstood, and unfortunately we're stuck with the term, so it's not going away. And I'm the #1 person in the world for social selling, so I'm not changing it either. But I think there's other terms like digital selling and remote selling and that which kind of have come out, but I think social selling is not going to go away. If it was suitable for company profile. Hold on. Is it way suitable for a company profile? I mean, I post live on a net for X and not any business. So the thing about companies' profiles is that you've got to understand that people don't care about your company or its products until they actually know about what it is, or that you're in a buying process. So if you're using your company page to actually start conversations with it, you'll actually find it really, really hard. Because if you know, I don't follow any company pages, I'm not interested. I get a lot of people coming to me saying, please follow my company page, and I just ignore it. And it just becomes noise. And so, you know, this is about, you know, we're in an age where you should be empowering your people. You know, your company does not have any unique selling points anymore. There are no USPs for your company. Every company is the same, and you will probably be positioning yourself the same as every other company as well. The only USP you have are your people. You have to empower your people to talk about their experiences, because Olga, for example, you have different experiences to me. What you have learned, the places that you've traveled, the fact that you've learned English and things like that, that means that you're unique. Yeah. And what we should be doing is empowering our people to talk about those things and talk about the great things about, because I will listen to a person, I won't listen to a company, because all you're going to do is tell me how great you are. How would you start a conversation with a new contact who is a higher position than yours? Those companies are well done. Imagine you're in a networking event. You've just turned up at a networking event. You've gone and got yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and you look at the event, and all of the people are exactly the same, because you can't even read the name tags because they're too far away. And you see somebody, you say, right, I'm going to go up to that person and talk to them. Now, you don't know at this point that they actually are, what did you describe? They're higher position than you, and their company is a well done. You don't know that. They just see them as a person, but you're going to go up to them and you're going to have a conversation. Do that. It's just the same as if you're having a conversation on at a networking event. Question for you. I wonder if there are any LinkedIn alternatives for social selling. So I use a number of social platforms. I'm on, I think for social selling, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. So there's all kinds of social platforms. At the end of the day, you need to go where your clients are. LinkedIn is all right. I mean, I'm not an expert in the Russian market or the Chinese market. There's lots of local alternatives. For example, in Germany, you've got Zing. Some people say that, you know, so you need to go where your clients are. Tim, could you tell us what share of the personal is appropriate against the share of the, yeah. So in my book, I talk about 411, which is about what you need to be doing is sharing, you need to be sharing content that is pertinent for your marketplace or your vertical. So tell me insight, or tell me something that I don't know already. And you can find that from various applications. We use Flipboard, we use Funnel Amplified. They're just two applications that you can use to get content. You can share something about your company, that's the one. And then you share something about yourself, which is the one. So 4 things about your vertical, 1 thing about your company, and 1 thing about yourself. Is that all the questions?
I think yes.
Can I finish on a joke?
Sure, please.
So there's 2 explorers. They're walking through the jungle and they come across a tiger. The first one starts backing out. The second one, she takes off her rucksack, opens it up and puts on running shoes. The first one says to the second one, says, "You can't outrun a tiger." And the second one says, "I don't have to, I just have to outrun you." And this is a great metaphor for social media today. I can guarantee you that your company and your competitors are shit on social media right now. If you're not, I would be very surprised, and please come to me, because I would be great to understand if you're not. But the thing is that this is not about being Kim Kardashian or being any type of influencer. This is about being a little bit better than everybody else. And just by doing a little bit better than everybody else, and by doing a little bit of taking on board some of the things that I've said today, you can outrun your competition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Timothy. And my colleague Kate sent your link to your LinkedIn profile to the chat. So everyone who's interested can follow you. Thank you so much.